Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is 𝐷𝐂𝐕𝐎𝐑𝐿, and today we're going to be talking about the Muse S. We're going to be doing a review, tell you about, is it worth it? Should you get it? Do I like it? Who is it for? Who is it not for? Is it worth the money? So first, let's start off with what is it? It's a biofeedback device for meditation and sleep. So basically, it's a little headband that you put on, and it has electrodes on the headband that will pick up your brain waves, and it can detect what's going on during your meditation or during sleep. You can track your sleep. So this headband is actually really comfortable. I love the build quality of it. It has this magnetic sort of piece right here, which is the piece that collects all the data from the sensors and it just clicks in. It's very nice, and it's a huge upgrade from what Muse used to be. I tried their old headbands, the Muse 1A and the Muse 2. I hated them. I felt they were clunky, and I really just felt like they took away from the process of meditation. They distracted me. They were overbearing, and the beauty and the simplicity of meditation is that you're getting away from technology. And so I felt sometimes like it was just subtracting from that, and it was taking from my experience. But over the last couple of weeks, I've been using this, and I'm actually really happy with how it feels in my experience, because it's not as distracting. It's not taking me out of my practice. So the way that it works is there's a little button that you just click here and it will turn on. And once it turns on, you can sync it with the app. So I'll open up the app right now. So when you first open the app, you're gonna see this screen, and there's different types of meditations you can choose from. You have mind, you have heart, you have body, breath, guided, and just normal timed. So I've been mostly experimenting with the mind and the heart, but inside of the guided meditations, they have, 500 plus, as you can see, 500 plus meditations for pretty much anything you could think of, whether it be joy, motivation, work, burnout, performance, confidence, focus, creativity. Whatever you want to work on and is appropriate for meditation, there's probably something in there for you, which is pretty cool. But the one that, as I said before, I've been doing is the mind. So basically how it works is you set up the time for how long you want to meditate. You can do up to 4 hours. Then you choose the soundscape that you want to use. So right now we're doing city, park. And then you can choose to either have them, do an exercise, either like mindfulness or some type of meditation that they'll walk you through during the session. But I often just choose to do the biofeedback, which is having the sound of the city, for example, will increase when you become distracted or when you fall out of your meditative zone. And as you move closer to that sweet spot, the sounds will start to get quieter and birds will chirp. And that signifies that you are hitting a good presence. You're in that state that you're aiming for when you meditate, that calm, relaxed state. And so the cool part about this is using biofeedback, we can actually train our brain to think and behave differently, right? So with people who have neurological issues or mood disorders, there's oftentimes overactivity in certain regions of the brain. And so the cool thing about biofeedback, neurofeedback, is that you can start building a reward system for your brain for going into that calm state. So as you get distracted, the sound goes up and it signifies to your brain, hey, let's bring our attention back to the present. Let's put ourselves in that calm state. And then it gives you a little reward by bringing that noise down and by having those birds chirp, right? And so what that does is it creates that dopamine hit to that association of relaxation and calm, which is training the brain to behave in a different way. It's giving a reward to the brain. It's like, here's a cookie for being calm, for being present. And I find that that's extremely advantageous for people who want to make, let's say, behavioral change or want to change the way that they show up in the world. And with a traditional meditation practice, you may have that practice of bringing yourself back to the present, bringing yourself back to the now, but you may not have that reward system or that self-talk of, hey, good job, you just brought yourself back to the moment, right? There is something to be said about the peace and the serenity and the purity of just having a normal meditation practice with no technology and totally disconnecting, which I find value in. And I think there's tremendous value in having this reward system built into your practice and the gamification process that comes along with it that you can start seeing the progress that you're making, right? You can know that what you're doing is working, because sometimes you may be doing something, you may have a lifestyle intervention, you may be trying to build a habit, you may be trying to change, but you don't have a clear metric of measurement, and therefore you really just don't know how you're doing. You know, intuitively you might feel that you're getting better or you're not making progress or whatever, but sometimes it can be hard to distinguish what's real and what's not. So the one thing that I have noticed, and I've heard other people complain about, and is kind of a drawback of the Muse headband, is that sometimes it has some connectivity issues with people who have longer hair. I haven't experienced that, but I know that people, like especially women, you know, you have a lot of hair, you really need the sensors to be tight on your head, and sometimes you even need to wet them to make sure that you're getting proper connectivity. And you know, just a little feedback for Muse is like, if that could be improved, I don't know how, then I think that would probably solve a lot of issues. So moving on, in the app, there is this sleep function, which we've kind of talked about, but basically the sensors in this headband can pick up your sleep measurements, so your deep sleep and your REM sleep and the time of sleep and sleep cycles and stuff like that. And they have these guided soundscapes and meditations to help you build better sleep routines, which I think is awesome. I'm really into sleep. If you don't know anything about me, then you know I've committed a whole chunk of my life to sleep optimization. Well, I will make a playlist up here that you can go check out if you want to learn more about that. I've also built a course called the Sleep Advantage. Shameless plug. If you want to get better sleep, then definitely go check out the course. But I haven't used this function because I've already optimized this part of my life. But another friend of mine, 𝐃𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐄, did a video going in detail about the efficacy of the sleep stuff that in regards to Muse. So I will link her up and in the description as well if you want to go learn more about the sleep. So moving on, if you click this Me button, you'll get like a profile, and you can look at your streaks, and you can also get more data on how long you've been meditating, how often you recovered from being distracted, how many birds or points, and they have this system to basically make it more motivating to meditate. And for people who struggle with building the habit, I think that's awesome. And for people who want to see progress, want to optimize things, and excuse all the flies that are flying around. I'm up here in the mountains, so sorry if that's distracting. But for people who want to optimize things, I think the gamification aspect of any type of wearable or any type of feedback mechanism is extremely helpful in keeping you motivated, keeping you consistent. So the three applications which we've kind of already talked about are the meditation, which is done really well in the app, the sleep, which I haven't really explored, but Katie has, and then the third would be the brainwaves. And I made a whole nother video that I released 2 weeks ago on the channel about measuring your brainwave activity using the Muse S. So you have to use a different app, and it goes into detail, and you can learn all about that in the other video, which I will link up here and in the description. But this was really cool for me because, you know, it's my job basically to explore different wellness practices and try different wellness products. And so there's only so much time in the day, and I've found a number of things I really like and I really love and I love doing, but it's just like sometimes you can only allocate so much time to certain things. And so I have to really pick and choose how I spend my day, and as does anyone. And so I think it's really important to get data so that you can see what's working and what's really moving the needle. And I'll give you an example, something that I learned. As we were making the video about the brain waves and the heart rate variability, something that we learned about prehabbing. What is the Prehab Dojo? The video up here, put it in the description as well. It's a whole another thing. But prehabbing is basically a form of isometric exercise, mind-muscle connection, sort of meditative process that I saw a dramatic increase in my brain waves and in my HRV. So higher levels of delta, gamma, theta, all the good brain waves that you want post prehabbing. And in addition to that, a bump of 20 to 30 points in my HRV over the course of 2 weeks with more focus on prehabbing. So for me, what I found is that I love meditating and I'm gonna keep meditating, but instead of spending more time meditating, I'm gonna spend more time prehabbing. Prehabbing has a greater impact on my nervous system, on my resilience, and on the state that I want to live in. It's a different feeling that I get from meditation than when I prehab. They're both good. Also, there's only so much time in the day. What's most important? I'm gonna get more bang for my buck out of prehabbing. And I was only able to discover that through measuring, through getting the data. When we're entering into the conversation about, is a device like the Muse S worth it? And should you spend your money on it? It depends. If you're someone who wants to deepen their meditation practice and you've already been meditating, but you want to see measurable progress, then yeah, I think it could be worth it. Are you someone who's trying to optimize their lifestyle like me and figure out where you should be spending your time? Then I think there's value there too. If you're someone who wants to get into meditation, you know the benefits, you understand it, but you just haven't seemed to build the habit yet, you haven't been consistent, then sometimes I feel like getting some skin in the game, investing some money, putting some money on the table is a great way to ensure that you stay consistent with a habit, right? But with that being said, do you need this to build a meditation practice? Do you need this to go deeper into your practice? Do you need this for any other reason? No, not really. It's not an absolute necessity, but what is a necessity is getting the basics dialed in, right? And I think that stress is one of the big basics that if you're working on improving your health and your wellness and your longevity and all the things, then meditation is a great access point to working on your stress, your resilience, your reactivity, all the things, your mental health that can impact your physical health. Other entry points though that you could do for no cost or little cost you could download the Calm meditation app, or you could download the Headspace app, or you could just join a workshop or go to a retreat. There's so many different options that you can do to get into meditation and start building that as a ritual, as a habit. I wouldn't say that you need this, but if you're like me, you like to get this feedback, you like to measure things, you like to see the data so you can make more informed decisions and see the progress and gamify, then I think there's value there. And I'll say this as well. If you're someone who wants to work on your sleep and you're already into meditation, even though based on Katie's video, the sleep stuff doesn't look super accurate, if you don't have an Oura Ring or you don't have any type of sleep tracker and you haven't gotten into that world yet, then this might be a great entry point into the sleep stuff on top of the meditation stuff. So there's sort of like double value there for someone who wants to improve their sleep and is already meditating. So those are my thoughts on the Muse S. If you found this helpful, please give it a big thumbs up. Helps get this video out to more people. And if you like this type of content, consider subscribing. Got a lot more coming soon. And I know that you're gonna like this video or any of the resources that I put in the description. And I'll see you in the next one. Be well. Peace.